Okay, let's unpack this. When we think about healing, I think we all sort of expect that big movie moment.
Right, the lightning strike.
The lightning strike.
Yeah.
The tearful breakthrough, the sudden, dramatic shift where everything is suddenly perfect. But the research we've been analyzing for you today, it suggests that if you're waiting for those fireworks, you are probably missing the real work.
You're missing the powerful stuff that's happening right now. What all this work really emphasizes is that true healing is, well, it's profoundly quiet.
Quiet.
So subtle, in fact, that if you're only focused on, say, external success or some sudden feeling of joy, you might completely overlook the steady, almost invisible progress you've already made.
Exactly. So our mission in this deep dive is to be your guide to those silent indicators. We're going to look at the source material to identify the shifts that prove internal repair is actually happening, even if the outside of your life still feels a bit messy. We're zeroing in on 4 central themes that signal you're moving from just surviving to actually thriving.
And those are calm, clarity, detachment, and finally, peace.
Right.
These 4, they're like the internal metrics of success. They totally bypass external things, your job, your relationship status, all of that. And instead, they measure how resilient your nervous system is actually becoming.
So they're telling us that the deep emotional wounds are not just being, covered up with a bandage.
No, not at all. They are actively closing.
Okay, so let's start with the first one, which feels maybe the most fundamental, calmness.
Yes.
The research points out that one of the earliest signs of healing is just feeling calmer. It's not excitement. It's not even necessarily joy. It's the quiet softening of that constant inner turmoil.
That mental chatter.
Yeah, the overthinking, that low-grade anxiety that used to be your baseline.
And we should probably touch on the physiology here for a second because the sources are pretty specific.
Right.
When you're in a state of unhealed trauma or stress, your body is basically living in a state of chronic defense. It keeps your cortisol levels high, your nervous system is stuck in fight or flight.
So healing is just turning that alarm down.
It's dialing that baseline alarm way down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, okay, how do you, as the listener, actually recognize this subtle drop in the alarm level?
Well, it shows up as a reduced reaction to triggers, things that previously would have sent you spiraling.
Right.
You might notice, for example, a frustrating email lands in your inbox. And instead of that instant tightness in your chest and, firing back a defensive reply, there's a small delay, a pause. You actually take a deep breath before you respond.
And that's the space right there.
That's it. It's that invisible pause between the stimulus and the reaction. The research calls it the invisible energy of healing. It's the signal that your body is finally at ease.
I think that invisible pause is everything. Before, that pause was just filled with dread or anxiety, and now it's quiet space.
Precisely. And that quiet space is so crucial. Because once that chronic internal noise starts to fade, the next powerful sign can finally emerge.
Which is clarity.
Clarity.
And the sources are really good on this. Clarity isn't just about understanding the world better. It's about having a sharper, kind of untainted perspective on yourself and the people around you. It says that clarity allows you to see people and situations for what they truly are, without that cloud of past hurt coloring your vision.
Yes, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, clarity is really the development of robust discernment.
Discernment, okay.
When you're operating from a place of emotional confusion, you struggle to see the patterns, right? You repeat the same kinds of relationships, the same self-sabotaging behaviors.
Over and over.
Healing gives you the mental bandwidth to actually notice these patterns without falling right back into them.
So, for example, if I used to spend days agonizing over some minor decision, clarity means I can now make that choice more quickly and just move on.
That's a huge metric, yes. And another one highlighted all over the research is the sudden, almost effortless application of boundaries.
Boundaries.
You realize immediately what serves you and what's just going to deplete you. And the boundary isn't some defensive wall you have to frantically build. It's just a natural, easy truth you can state.
With all the fanfare or guilt.
Exactly. Your choices stop being based on fear or old programming. They become intentional. They're aligned with your present self, not your wounded past.
That shift from reactive to intentional it's just massive.
Yeah.
Now, this brings us to the third sign, which I think needs the most scrutiny. Detachment. Because the word itself just sounds so cold.
It does. And this is where we have to challenge the sources a little, even as we summarize them. Detachment, as it's defined here, is absolutely not emotional coldness. It's not avoidance.
Okay, so what is it?
The research reframes it brilliantly. Detachment is freedom. It's an energetic self-preservation mechanism.
But wait, when does healthy detachment cross the line into just, emotional avoidance, shutting down when things get tough?
And that's the fundamental question, isn't it? The sources define avoidance as actively suppressing a feeling, which takes a lot of energy.
Right, you have to work at it.
You do. Detachment, on the other hand, is the absence of the need to cling, which is an energy gain. When you have genuine detachment, these draining behaviors they fade away without you even trying.
Okay, give us an example. What does a draining behavior fading away look like?
Think about that mental loop. The overthinking about what someone said or did, that compulsive need to check their social media,
Oh, yeah.
or the endless replaying of a past mistake, analyzing it from 50 different angles. With detachment, that loop just stops.
It just stops. You don't decide to stop it.
The urge itself dissolves. You let go of that crushing need to control outcomes because you realize those outcomes have nothing to do with your core worth.
What really stands out to me there is realizing you can care deeply about someone or something, but you don't feel responsible for the outcome. Their chaos doesn't have to become your internal state.
And that ability to observe life's difficulties without being internally swallowed by them, that is the true definition of maturity in healing.
Wow.
It means you can see the event as external to your core self. You can genuinely love without losing yourself.
And when you have that calm nervous system and you've gained clarity and you've achieved detachment, that leads us to the fourth cornerstone.
Peace.
Peace.
And peace in this context is described as this soft, steady, internal sense that despite what's happening on the outside, things are fundamentally okay.
Even if your life isn't perfect.
Exactly. The sources are clear on this. Maybe the bills are still stacking up, maybe that conflict hasn't been resolved, but that frantic, desperate need to fix every detail right now, it just dissipates.
But we need to emphasize this peace isn't passive complacency.
Yeah.
It's not about giving up.
Absolutely not. It is an active state of equilibrium. It's an internal signal that your emotional wounds are mending, your boundaries are solid, and your heart is finally learning to trust its own instincts again.
It's the sound of the internal war finally ending.
That's a perfect way to put it. When you stop fighting yourself, that quiet, steady peace is the result.
Okay, so if you're listening and thinking, this all sounds great, but I'm still not sure I can see these quiet shifts in my own life, we need to get practical.
Let's do it.
The source material gave us 5 extremely concrete behavioral indicators, a way to actively track this quiet progress.
Let's run through them because they take these 4 internal states we've been talking about and turn them into observable proof.
Okay, number 1.
The first indicator is feeling less reactive. This is the immediate result of that calmness we talked about. Your emotional responses are just softer, calmer, steadier.
Okay, give us a scenario. What does less reactive look like in the wild?
Less reactive means someone throws a casual criticism your way, something that used to trigger an immediate defensive spiral, and now you just pause, you consider if it's true, and then you just let it go. You don't need to spend all that energy defending your character.
You choose calm because the energy cost of reacting is just too high.
It's too high. Your peace is more valuable.
That's huge. Okay, the second indicator, which links directly to clarity, is seeing things clearly.
Right, and this is about observing those patterns without getting emotionally tangled up in them. The research had a fantastic example of this. It's when you suddenly realize you haven't checked an ex-partner's social media in like 3 weeks. Not because you fought the urge, but because the urge just disappeared.
Wow.
That clarity lets you see the relationship as past data, not a current emotional obligation.
That is a phenomenal specific example. Okay, indicator number 3 is maybe the biggest measure of self-worth progress. Valuing yourself more.
And behaviorally, this translates to consistently choosing your internal peace over drama.
So, like, deciding not to answer that phone call is going to be a high-stress mess.
Exactly that. When the choice is high-stress engagement or preserving your quiet state, you instinctively pick calm. That consistent, almost automatic choice is self-worth in action.
You understand your peace is non-negotiable currency.
It becomes your most valuable asset.
That's a self-worth as a verb. Love that. And the fourth indicator ties right back to detachment. Letting go naturally.
This is the end of clinging. You stop holding on to people, outcomes, expectations that clearly aren't serving your growth anymore.
But it doesn't feel like a painful breakup.
No, not at all. It feels like a natural shedding, like a tree dropping its leaves in the fall. The energy it takes to hold on to something that isn't working becomes too noticeable, and you just gently put it down.
You don't need that closure conversation anymore.
The closure is internal.
That is the ultimate energetic freedom.
Ugh.
And finally, number 5. This one speaks volumes about the relationship you have with yourself. Embracing solitude.
Yes. If you're wondering if you are healing, check how you feel when you're alone.
Mm.
Being alone no longer feels like loneliness or deprivation or this frantic need to fill the silence. Instead, solitude feels restorative.
It recharges you.
It does. It signals that your relationship with yourself is fundamentally safe and positive enough that you genuinely enjoy the quiet company of your own thoughts.
So wrapping this all up for the person who is still on their journey, if you've been looking for that loud, sudden breakthrough, maybe it's time to shift your focus to these micro shifts.
The main insight here is that the deepest, most lasting transformations are the quietest. You have to look for the calm that settles in your mornings, the clarity that simplifies your choices,
The detachment that keeps you out of unnecessary drama.
and the profound peace that quietly fills your life when you stop fighting your own reality.
Look at the evidence of your own behavior. Are you choosing peace? Are you breathing deeper before you react? Are your boundaries getting clearer? If the answer is yes, then the sources confirm it. Your journey is unfolding exactly as it should.
Whether you recognize it day to day or not.
Exactly.
And there's a powerful final thought to leave you with, one that really encapsulates this quiet revolution. Healing is often invisible, and it's making you stronger in ways you probably don't even acknowledge yet.
Mhm.
So if you're showing any of these subtle signs, remember this affirmation from the compiled research. Soft, steady, unstoppable.